Instead, they'd set a trap above ground. A hollow man grabbed Draca, dragging her rapidly across the gorge floor. She fought back with everything she had but couldn't break free. She slammed into a tree stump and fell unconscious. Levi watched helplessly as Draca was dragged away. Nearby, Levi noticed thick fog pouring from the ground. When he investigated, he discovered it was coming from a missile silo, the fog flowing straight from the missile itself. Meanwhile, at the bottom of that silo, Draca woke up suspended in midair. A hollow man approached her and roughly pulled out the branch embedded in her skin. The sharp pain snapped Draca awake. The hollow man ignored her cries and curiously tasted the blood from the branch. Suddenly, the creature was overwhelmed by a frenzied hunger and charged greedily toward Draca. Seeing the creature charging, Draca kicked out hard with both feet. She quickly threw herself at the hollow man, but without a weapon she couldn't cause any damage. Instead, the hollow man grabbed her and slammed her brutally onto the ground. Draca snatched up a metal shard, stabbing it straight into the creature's foot. Then with a fierce swipe she sliced off a venomous snake head that had merged into the hollow man's body. This only enraged the hollow man further. It drew a long rusted sword and furiously attacked Draca. Thankfully, Draca's agility allowed her to dodge every deadly blow. Spotting an opening, Draca plunged a burning wooden stake deep into the hollow man's body. The creature howled in pain as flames engulfed it. Just in time, Levi arrived and fired a precise shot, knocking the hollow man down. Even battle-hardened Draca felt shaken by this terrifying encounter, but Levi knew there was no time for comfort now. He grabbed the hollow man's sword and helped Draca get moving. To return to the surface, they had to climb back through the missile silo. Unfortunately, the silo was filled with twisted creatures created by the toxic gas. This place looked like a nest for manufacturing monsters. Creatures breathed in the biochemical fumes here before emerging to roam freely. Their presence awakened the sleeping beasts. Draca was quickly surrounded by attacking monsters. Luckily, Levi's sword effortlessly chopped through the creatures' grasping branches, but more awakened creatures swarmed toward them. Levi swung the sword fiercely to clear a path, but suddenly a creature's tentacle wrapped tightly around him. Reacting fast, Draca fired a grenade straight into the creature's nest. Flames exploded everywhere, causing the creature to shriek wildly. In the chaos, Levi and Draca seized their chance and escaped to safety. After reaching the surface, they found an abandoned SUV inside an old factory. Luckily, after reconnecting the battery, the car started right up. While searching for an escape route, they noticed the massive bombs mounted high above on the cliffs. If the self-destruct sequence activated, the entire place would instantly become flat ground. Soon they reached the bottom of the cliff. Levi quickly attached a cable to the SUV's winch, while Draca fought off the approaching hollow man. Working together, they eliminated the threat and began their climb upward. Slowly they ascended using the SUV's winch, inching toward the gorge's edge. But their peace didn't last long. Below, an even larger horde of hollow men began chasing them. Trapped halfway up the cliff, they had no choice but to fight in midair. The number of hollow men grew relentlessly. Realizing the SUV wouldn't hold much longer, Levi quickly stabbed a spare gas canister on the back of the car. When gasoline drenched the hollow men climbing below, Levi ignited it without hesitation. A massive explosion cleared away the creatures. However, the SUV lost all power in the blast. Fortunately, they were close enough to safely climb the rest of the way. Draca swiftly cut the cable to stop any surviving hollow men from following. Finally, both made it safely back onto solid ground. Although they'd reached the tower, they knew the danger wasn't over yet. Only if they showed no signs of mutation over the next 5 days would they truly be safe. And as long as the gorge existed, humanity would remain in danger. Exchanging a determined glance, they made a bold decision. They would destroy the gorge. By now, their entry into the gorge had been discovered by Bartholomew. The moment Levi turned on the computer, their location was exposed. Bartholomew, head of the Dark Lake organization, would never allow the gorge's secret to be revealed. Immediately, she ordered a team to eliminate Levi and Draca. The next morning, Levi and Draca planted explosives on the radars on both sides of the gorge. They connected the detonators together to trigger a chain reaction. Levi planned to remotely destroy the radar arrays, forcing the gorge's stray dog self-destruct sequence to activate and completely wipe out the area, removing the threat forever. But at that moment, Bartholomew arrived by helicopter with assassins. Seeing the Dark Lake logo, Levi knew trouble had arrived. He quickly shouted to Draca across the gorge, warning her to run. When Bartholomew finally reached the tower, Levi and Draca were long gone. All that remained was a message scrawled on the wall. 3 things cannot be long hidden: the sun, the moon, and the truth. Just then, Levi and Draca simultaneously fired their rifles from exactly 3.9 kilometers away. Their bullets struck the explosives on the radars, triggering a massive chain explosion. Instantly, Levi and Draca sprinted desperately toward the safe zone 4.2 kilometers away, where they'd be protected from the impending blast. Bartholomew finally realized her mistake. With the radars destroyed, the gorge's self-destruct countdown had begun. Alarms blared loudly across the gorge. She rushed frantically into her helicopter, but it was too late. Seconds later, the bombs detonated with tremendous force. A shockwave blasted outward, flattening everything in its path. Dresa managed to reach a safe distance just before the blast, but Levi, weakened from his injuries, wasn't as fortunate. The shockwave hurled him into the water and he sank into darkness. Dresa felt a terrible dread grip her heart. Instead of leaving immediately, she found a nearby cave to hide in. She stayed for two reasons. First, she held out hope that Levi might still appear. Second, she wasn't sure whether she'd been infected. Dresa spent the next 5 days alone in that cave. Fortunately, she showed no signs of mutation, but sadly Levi never appeared. 4 months passed. Dresa opened a small restaurant on the west coast of France. It was the place she and Levi had promised to settle down after their mission. Now Dresa lived there alone. Then one day she turned around and saw a familiar figure sitting there. From their first meeting through mutual assistance, facing danger together, Levi and Dresa had formed an unbreakable bond. Finally reunited, they lived happily ever after.